We have reached the halfway mark of the session this year. Senator, give us an update on where things stand as we head into the second half.
We've had a great first half this year, including a lot of movement on some labor reform and legal and tort reform bills. One of the first ones was Senate Bill 19, more commonly known as Right to Work. We were able to pass that out of the Senate and out of the House. The governor signed that earlier into law, I believe, in February. So that was a great win for Missouri businesses and Missouri citizens here in the state. The Senate has passed Senate Bill 182, which modifies provisions of law relating to project labor agreements. These PLAs have historically driven up the cost of construction by excluding non-union contractors and their skilled employees from building projects paid for by their own community's tax dollars. These PLAs have also hurt workers because they end up paying more dues and fees rather than putting money into their own pockets. So those are two of the labor reform bills that we've had. As far as legal and tort reform, another concern that we've had is our outdated civil and judicial system, which has forced businesses and job creators out of the state. Tort reform is very critical to economic development, as evidenced by St. Louis being ranked the #1 judicial hellhole in the country, and that's certainly not a distinction that we want to have. Some of these tort bills that we've worked on and passed through the Senate is Senate Bill 31, which is pretty technical in nature, but modifies provisions relating to the collateral source rule and provides that parties may introduce evidence of the actual cost rather than the value of medical care rendered. This restores fairness to personal injury litigation and helps reduce the cost of insurance for you and me, other businesses. Another legal tort reform bill was Senate Bill 45, which modifies laws regarding arbitration agreements between employers and at-will employees. This is hopefully a simple, helpful fix, which is quick and cost-effective way to resolve employment issues instead of having to take those through the court system and hire lawyers and court fees and all the other costs that comes with a lawsuit. So overall, we've had a pretty good, productive session. We've taken on a lot of heavy lifting, especially on a lot of these labor and tort reform bills.
You got a measure this week in the Seniors, Families, and Children Committee that it relates to abortion.
Yes. My Senate Bill 375 I introduced this week to the Senate Committee on Seniors, Families, and Children, and it relates to parental consent and parental notification for minors seeking abortions. Under current Missouri state law, a minor only needs the consent of one parent in order to obtain an abortion. All Senate Bill 375 says is the other custodial parent must be notified their minor child is going to have an abortion. I think this is just a common sense approach. It doesn't say that the second parent has to give consent. It just says that the second custodial parent of that minor child must be notified in writing that their minor child is going to have an abortion.
For you, as we go into the second half, is there anything that you're hoping to see cross the finish line?
Yes, there's several bills still on the calendar that hope to see across the finish line. My Big Government Get Off My Back Act is on the perfection calendar. Also have a bill relating to video lottery as well as virtual schools. Both of those, I hope to have some good discussion and good debate, and we'll see where they end up at the end of the year.